All right. Okay, who was that? That's what I thought. God Made Me Funky. We had Fat Al in earlier today.
Nice.
That's with the PH. We got Dr. Josh Gelber here, and should we call you Doctor? Should we just call you Josh? I don't want to be,
presumptuous.
whatever.
Most frequently is Dr. Josh.
Dr. Josh. Okay, great.
It's worked. For
It's
me.
friendly. It's nice.
It is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we've had you on the show before, and why don't you just give us a little bit of an introduction to what you're doing? Because I could say a chiropractor, but that's probably not
Too general.
getting anywhere near, covering really what you're all about.
Fair
right?
enough. I mean, I am a chiropractor. I consider myself a traditional chiropractor. My focus isn't really on moving of the spine, cracking the joints, and
Right.
neck, back pain, headache, the typical things people want relief from. My focus is on the nervous system. And as I mentioned last time, it's on removing interference and stress and the effects of stress on the nervous system through alignment of the spine, because any stress on the system that controls your entire body puts you at a less than optimal performing ability. So my simple focus is removing stress and letting people perform optimally in life, whether that's through sports or just being a stay-at-home mom, having 100% of their nervous system optimally available 100% of the time.
So when you use the word stress in that context, is that different from the kind of day-to-day stress? Because you're talking about stress that you can relieve through
Well, it's
chiropractic work, right?
And through that way, it's always the day-to-day stress, but it's either the accumulation or the repetition. So I look at physical, chemical, emotional. On the physical level, get in a car accident, big physical stress.
Right.
Leave it alone for 20 years, and it does a lot of damage. Sit behind a desk, type at a computer for 7 hours a day for 2 to 20 years. Same thing, if not even worse. It's still a physical stress. On the chemical side, you look at Supersize Me. Spend a month at McDonald's, and your body is screaming, saying, "I can't handle all this crap in me." Basically,
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's
What
a
are the
simple-
nutrients? Please help
there
me.
are none, and the
Right.
body it's stressing the nervous system to try and digest and process all the processed stuff.
Yeah.
And on an emotional level, as we were talking about briefly, financial status, relationship status, overall happiness in life. So,
Now, does that stuff, those last three things that you mentioned, does that become a physical thing in the body that you could relieve through chiropractic?
yes and no. I look at two sides. What I can relieve stress-wise, that's accumulated, but also eliminating certain factors. If someone has major financial struggle or they're stressed about a relationship at home, I can help them deal with it. I can moderate how the stress builds along their spine and spinal cord, because that's where it loves to hang on, but I can't remove it. I can't remove that stressor.
Right.
They
I
need,
should give them money, and that's not going to happen.
or a fake happy life. Exactly.
Well, but it's
I'm not
true.
doling out cash. Okay, now you're less stressed, and now give that back to me.
But like Hugh says, it's like they almost run hand in hand. You got physical stress that can affect you emotionally. You got emotional stress that affects you physically. So it's just that sort of, I guess, equilibrium between.
It's a cycle, and it's definitely
Yeah.
an equilibrium. I will for the next 50 years be saying 4 words: balance, tension, pressure. And the fourth one just slipped my mind, but I'll come back to it in a moment.
Balance?
But
I'm writing
balance
these down.
and
Yep.
tension,
Yeah.
Pressure.
pressure, and then stress. That's I don't know why it slipped out of my head. Those are the simplest 4 words that are connected to how we respond.
Physical well-being or
Emotional
not
well-being.
Yeah, right. Emotional well-being as well.
Well-being. So to answer your first question, yes, it's definitely how everything manifests on some physical level, but I practice in a tonal model.
Atonal.
Atonal
No,
model.
tonal.
Oh,
Tonal model.
atonal. Yes.
Atonal model.
Yeah.
And
tonal model.
so my adjustment technique is a lot gentler. I really work on just feeling energy along the spine. I'm not an energy reader, but there's just an intuition and a force that kind of emanates from a stressed or moderately stressed spine and spinal column. And it's just really gently stimulating it versus trying to crack a joint or turn someone on their side. And people listening know that, if they've been twisted this way and racked and cracked, and that works on some level to relieve joint pain. but that doesn't really address, again, that stress that accumulates on the nervous system.
And as we were talking about now, I'm just going to hit on it because you came up with a term.
Yes, I came up.
And you can tell us what that is in a couple of seconds. Does really the fast-paced society that we live in today really, and it must truly affect our physical well-being, not just our emotional, but
absolutely does. I mean,
the term that you came up with is
socio-emotional.
Socio-emotional. Tell us a little bit about what socio-emotional means to you.
You know what? I coined it, or I utilized it in a fancy grammar day with a patient, and he worked for the TTC, and he's been there for 25 years, and he's
talk about stress.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And he's like, work's doing it to me. Work is causing this, and I said, well, that's kind of a socio-emotional. Your social environment, your work environment, is creating this emotional tension, and that's what is limiting you from being at 100%. So we both laughed, and we both had brought it up, and he found an article in a financial magazine about watching out for burnout. And he sent that my way, and he's sensitive to how much pressure he's under at work. Right. So is today's fast-paced lifestyle influencing? Absolutely.
Yeah, it has to.
People are living on devices, and they're, number one, affecting their posture on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, between computers, like you say, sitting at a desk,
television, reading,
texting,
video games for kids. We're going back to the caveman. I can't do it as much here, but shoulders forward, head down, and we're losing that. And every time I say that, people all start straight.
It's funny. As soon as you mention chiropractor, people
which I love, which I absolutely love. But it's again, it's understanding why is your posture important. And every time I ask people, what's important about the alignment of your spine, because they can kind of say, my alignment is kind of off, or I'm off balance. I'm like, well, why does that matter? I play a little Socratic game with them. Like, why do you think that's relevant? Well, the alignment. Why is the alignment important? Well, because why should the spine be straight? Because it houses the nervous system. And that's what's missing from most communication through a lot of chiropractors as well.
And it's funny how you say that. More people, the alignment of their cars is more important than the alignment of their backs or their shoulders.
It's not even more important. They're not aware. And I'll go medical for a moment. That in a profession where drugs and surgery are the core treatment method, there's no talk of preventing arthritis. It's, well, you're going to get old and you're going to have arthritis, too bad. Or this is happening, live with it, deal with it, old age kicks in. And it's baloney.
It's a curative society we live in. It's not preventative.
It's wait until you have an alignment problem with your car as well. I mean, people only really know to change their oil
when the light
schedule
comes on.
or the light comes on.
Ding.
And I had a conversation about a maintenance appointment that's like, oh no, your car's fine. You'll know if something's wrong. Well, those early preventative checkups in cars are good too, because more and more I notice how similar a car and the computer inside is like a human.
Yeah.
And if you don't take care of it on a regular basis, it breaks down. But people always get, well, what if one wheel's knocked out of alignment? How long does it take before the wheel falls off? Could be 20 years.
Could be next.
But all of a sudden, it could be tomorrow. I equate stress in the nervous system causing interference the same way a cell phone signal. Those infamous Rogers commercials where the guy's like, I've got no reception or it sucks. Like, what if you have less than 4 bars of reception? Most people are operating at 3 or 2 or 1 bars of signal through their nervous system. And I say my goal is to get you up to, 4 full bars.